Hello, my name is FreeHappyDolphin and welcome to the Dutchy review in the Verdict series. In short, Dutchy is, in my mind, very successful roguelike deck building game that very cleverly uses the theme of refurbishing classic games with nice twist, and this time that classic game is Tetris. Let's jump in to see what exact scores I give for this edition of Tetris and which place does it take on our leaderboard. First category is short-term engagement. So I'm always very excited to play those classic games transformations as they usually bring an upgrade, just more material to play around while enjoying already very successful and known game. And Dutchy isn't different. It's definitely intuitive and exciting to discover Dutchy world while dropping tiles in known fashion. However, that known fashion isn't exactly the same. Tetris might associate with decisions under pressure, reaching the high scores and the flow state while applying all experience of the game to get that one shape and clear tons of rows or evade filling up the space completely. This feeling of time flying by is just not in the nature of this game, and I'm not sure if there is a spark there that substitutes true Tetris feeling. There's not much of a story or characters to evaluate here, so I am looking back to just previous evaluations to determine correct score for this game. So the main question is this game as immersive as in one of my favorites on the leaderboard like Balatro or Bazaar? And I really don't think so, so that means I just can't give this any higher score than on those ones. That means it's 4 out of 5. Second category, replayability and complexity, or in other words, long-term engagement. For this category, I was really impressed by big amount of game content brought on its release. It's not just having plenty of any cards, but there's a lot of sections on Tech Tree bringing completely new game mechanics, and there's also already DLC and additional free content announced with 100 plus more cards and unique new game mechanics. As much inspiring as that is, there is a negative side, because there is not much else what changes between runs. You always play with the same unit types. As for roguelike game, the choices you can make on the map are pretty simplistic, and I think there is a lot of room for more variety to change maybe Tetris rules itself between fights, or at least add some more constraints. So while having nothing else change apart card set and terrain type makes it easier to create new content, or maybe for players to plan the deck, in the long run it does feel a bit lacking, with many opportunities to make game more dynamic not used. This reason and overall not too complex gameplay downgrades content-rich game score for this category to 3.5 out of 5. Third category is visuals and audio, and this will be extremely short one as I'm very happy about how the game sounds and looks. While of course I can't evaluate it as good as some masterpiece like Frostpunk 2, it's still a very nice experience overall regarding this aspect. 4 out of 5. Next, handling and user interface. Another short category to discuss, as hotkeys are not only present and customizable, but you also can just play with controller, and that's great news since the game's nature just begs to drop keyboard and a mouse. In-game info is sufficient, there are tooltips for buildings area of effect explanations, so except from few details I was not happy about that I was mentioning in press start series gameplay, except that I'm really happy with this category. 4.5 out of 5. And the last but not least, from main categories we have uniqueness and wow factor. As one could predict, while Dutchy brings a unique angle, it felt a bit lacking in certain categories because of not used opportunities or all of those angles to be explored and not being extra engaging by itself. So a lot once again will come down to just comparing this to other games. It was already mentioned that there are some better titles that give more immersive experience or evolve classic game better, but does it perform much better in the view of roguelike deck builders? Well, maybe it's not exact the same genre that this game is targeting, but it would of course falls short of something like Slay the Spire or similar titles, and maybe even previously played and reviewed Colonizer. So even though it felt like very strong candidate to begin with, after putting it on the same scale with others, I give it 3 out of 5 stars in this category. From negative factors, I will give half star for tutorial. At least at the time of playing, the tutorial is very basic and does not cover all areas like upgrading or selling cards. It needed to be figured out while playing, and since player already spends time in tutorial, well, maybe just let player learn everything, not just a shorter version. Not to mention, even the encyclopedia tab does much better and much faster job of what tutorial should have done in the first place. So we give half of negative star here. This gets us to the final score of 3.7 stars, which seems fair to be honest, and places it in top 10 spot, which is not bad at all considering our very tight top 10 situation. Thank you for watching, this was Free Happy Dolphin, and see you soon.